Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd. This episode is a little more difficult to describe than it is to watch because you have to know kind of some of the background on this. In a transporter accident, another one of those transporter accidents, which makes me wonder exactly why anybody even uses them, Will Riker was split into two while he was still a lieutenant. This happened back on another ship that he was serving on before the Enterprise. And one of them beams back up, eventually becomes second in command of the Enterprise by the time of the program that we're talking about today. And the other one is stranded on the planet for a number of years and comes back as a lieutenant in Starfleet and decides to call himself Thomas so he is not confused with Will. Neither one of them want to leave Starfleet, so they work it out that way. But genetically, they're identical because they're a transporter goof-up. And that creates kind of a problem that exists in this episode where Tom Riker, who now has designs on being one of the Maquis, and then there's a backstory on the Maquis, as you know. They were introduced in The Next Generation, which is what introduced first the Cardassians and then the Bajorans, and also became kind of the kickoff point for Star Trek Voyager. However, all of the backstory, most of it you probably already know. So what happens is that Tom Riker comes aboard Deep Space Nine disguised as Will Riker, has a brief fling with Major Kira, convinces everybody that he's who he says he is, gets a tour of the Defiant, and proceeds to steal it. And then provide a way for his compatriots to get aboard, and then they take it into Cardassian territory to try to root out some kind of shipyard. It's, of course, always interesting to see Jonathan Frakes. He is playing a slightly different character, so he does not play it like Will Riker. He plays it like Tom Riker, and you can tell the difference very quickly that his personality doesn't exactly match up. And if the people on Deep Space Nine knew him better, it probably would have seen through him to begin with. However it is, I think that probably the only glimmer of that was from Chief O'Brien, who was completely confused by his reaction to him. Anyway, what we have here is a way of taking Sisko to Cardassia Prime and to talk about not only the problems and weaknesses of the Defiant. Some he mentioned reference in the first episode of the season. But now he has reiterated the fact that he was in command of the shipyard that built the Defiant, had a lot of input into how it was designed, and knew that there were some weaknesses and vulnerabilities of it and ways of tracking its cloaking device. It shows, of course, that Sisko is multi-talented, obviously more than just some officer that's been thrown into the backwaters of Deep Space Nine, at least when they first sent him there, but rather someone who is also quite the tactician, gets to show that in this episode. It works out pretty well. Also shows a little bit that Gul Dukat, while he has a great deal of power within their system, is not really all that skillful a commander, interestingly. He does have political connections, which helps him be able to make the story come out the way that we wanted it to. But we also get to see what the main military command station looks like on Cardassia Prime. We know a little bit more about Gul Dukat, that he has a son who is turning 11 on the day of this activity, and feels badly that he can't spend the day with him. He's promised over and over again that he would spend more time with his son, and duty has always gotten in the way. This is something where Sisko sees kind of a similarity between he and Dukat, but Dukat squelches it pretty quickly by saying, nothing like what you would do would work here, because my son will remember me for screwing up invasion plans by someone else. So there is that. Ducat is never really a friend. He is what we would call now a frenemy, but at the same time, it's always a matter of whether there's something that can benefit him more by working with the Federation than by not. And in this case, apparently the Obsidian Order has some skullduggery going on that Ducat didn't know about. And the deal that's made with Cisco will allow him to get an upper hand on them. So it shows Cardassia to be a very highly politicized planet, and it's a matter of who you know and who owes you something that gets things done. So an interesting episode, and I recommend it to you. The performances by, of course, Nana Visitor and of course, Jonathan Frakes are outstanding. Cisco, Avery Brooks is able to expand more of his other than just kind of sitting behind the desk, so that's an interesting place to see him. And we also have at least one good scene from Julian, who is able, for a change, to actually be a doctor. So please subscribe, and please put any comments that you have below. We'll be happy to read them. And until we see you again, don't go far.